Lost Ark can be rough if you are a new player just starting or a returning player that quit a long time ago. Getting to the end game in a high item level has been made easier as there are a lot of catch-up mechanics and events. But regardless of that, you still need to go through lower level content on your way to the end game. And that lower level content is not populated enough for it to be time efficient, as it takes a long time for matchmaking to find 4 players queuing, and a party finder can be pretty empty as well. So I decided to do my part, and I have spent one whole week helping these players in clearing Guardian raids, Abyssal dungeons and Legion raids. I started off with lower level Guardian raids. Initially checking the party finder first and going through all levels of Guardian raid, starting from level 1, I honestly didn't find that many people trying to make groups. Most of the created groups were gold selling bots and a few people who were AFK and didn't accept me. But I did find few people asking for help in our lower tier 3 Guardian raids. They were nicely asking for help, so I spent the next 2 hours alternating between the 4 Guardian raids, with most of my runs being armored na Krasena. After helping everyone, I didn't see any new people needing help, so I checked tier 1 and tier 2 Guardian raids and found few people needing a 2x clear. After clearing all of those, I decided to go through matchmaking, as most people prefer just clicking a button and waiting for a queue to pop. But honestly, matchmaking was pretty dead. I did get few pops in tier 1 and tier 2, with most of my instant queue pops being again armored na Krasena. The one thing that caught my eye was the contrast of gratitude some of these players had towards being carried. All the groups I joined through Party Finder were incredibly nice and always said thank you at the end. But I didn't get a single thank you for the matchmaking players. Quite the opposite, I got called an idiot for queuing lower level Guardian raid and stealing that person's MVP with my high gear. Imagine being that guy. Maybe most of these players don't even realize that a high item level player queued and helped them, and why should they? They queued in hopes of getting into the raid fast and hopefully clearing it. They don't expect a carry. I did that same daily help routine for 2 hours every day during that week. But it was time to help the players in a weekly content. I like helping people and most of my videos are educational videos, so if you could help me by subscribing and liking this video, it would mean the world to me. Next I checked tier 1 and tier 2 Abyssal dungeons, but I saw that there are already plenty of groups with a carry doing card runs, and not enough low level players joining. I decided to focus only on Oreja Hard. Having 5 high item level DPS characters, it only made sense to run it 5 times. The runs were very fast and I always had a chance of getting a legendary card, and there being a legendary engraving book on the auction, after which the 3 players kindly would let me have it for 50 gold as a token of gratitude for a fast carry. When selecting the 3 players, I focused on them being 1370 item level with low roster level, as that indicated that they were fairly new or are returning, and not it being someone's alt, and players that had a Mokoko symbol of course. The 3 players in some runs sat AFK through the whole raid, while in other runs they actively tried to help clear the trash mobs, which was much appreciated. Next in line was Argos, as this is the raid where a lot of new players are kinda forced to buy buses. I was able to find a perfect group with another carry player that already had 6 new players and Mokokos in the raid looking for one more carry. The run was fast and smooth, so I did the same with all of my other 4 DPS characters. Since Argos requires 2 carries, the biggest problem was waiting for that second carry who wanted to do it for free. Luckily, I was able to find already made groups that needed 1 carry, and for the last one, I brought one of my friends from a static group as he wanted to help out. If we don't count the time spent waiting for a second carry and the raid to fill in, running 5 Argos carry runs took around 1 hour. After Argos, it was time for Valtan hard, where 2 of my friends wanted to help with few runs. We did 3 runs as I only had 3 characters that are strong enough for a carry run. These Valtan runs were also meant to be as a learning/teaching runs, where we encouraged everyone to actively attack and participate in the mechanics. But in one run they treated it as a free bus, where few of the people went AFK, so we had to do double way on gate 1. Other 2 runs we did orbs plus Vey, and it was surprising enough to see that these new players knew what to do on orbs and take positions properly before. Gate 2 is easy enough, where you only really need help at the start to destroy the armor, but we also use Baltor as we wanted everyone to experience the raid and use it as a practice as opposed to them being dead and spectating. When deciding which players to take, I focused on 3 things: overall gear and item level, roster level, and a stronghold level, as these 3 can easily tell me if someone is new, returning player, and if somebody is just lazy and wants their 12th alt being carried for free. The runs were smooth and fast, while at the end, if there was an expensive engraving book, we properly bid on it, so we let everyone take equal cut and make some more gold. With those same 3 characters and 2 of my friends, we wanted to close out the session with 3 Vykas hard runs. I followed the same principles as with Valtan, only accepting players that seemed like they were new or returning with legendary gear and accessories, low roster level and a stronghold level, while avoiding high roster level alts. First run was incredibly smooth and fast to the point where I thought, are these really new players? But as every run so far was smooth, it would come to the point where we would just hit a brick wall, as the second run we had 2 new players that have never done Vykas but knew the general mechanics. And yes, you guessed it right, we were stuck on gate 1, as these 2 players would either die before the mechanic or simply fail the mechanic. But none of us got mad or upset. We even suggested that we can go for gate 1 and normal, but both of them refused as they wanted to learn mechanics and get better. So big props to them for actually not taking an easy route and willing to learn. Eventually we cleared it, and to add salt to the wound, my internet died in the middle of gate 2 and took 15 minutes to come back. As gate 2 and gate 3 aren't so dependent on everyone being alive, we were able to clear it, and the 2 new players were extremely grateful for our patience and allowing them to learn and practice mechanics. I would like to encourage more people to help new players and Mokokos. Teach them the game, explain the mechanics, and be patient with them. Lost Ark needs both hardcore players and casual players to survive, and we, as experienced players, should not treat them bad and force them to quit. Busing will always be there, and it will always be an option for new players. But seeing the recent prices for a bus run, you'd have to ask yourself, is it worth sitting in a lobby for hours, waiting for customers to join just to get an extra 1000 gold per person? Currently, there are definitely more people selling buses than there are customers willing to buy. I know that 1 week I spent helping new players barely makes a dent, and I hope that this will motivate more people to go the same route of helping new players for free. I do Valtan and Vykas runs every week on my 3 high gear characters, and I will always try to grab players who look like new or returning players and help them as much as possible. Thank you for watching, stay safe, and if you are interested to watch more, click on the videos on your screen.